Welcome once again to another edition of Shelf Life Book Reviews Online. As always, I thank you for taking the time to watch my videos. Hopefully you will find them informative and it will inspire you to consider certain books for purchase in the future. There are two books, two nonfiction books, and they both are very highly recommended. The very first one is Healing When a Nurse Becomes a Patient by Theresa Brown, registered nurse. It is published by Algonquin Books of Chapel Hill and it retails for $37.95. Theresa Brown was an oncology and hospice nurse. Sometimes when writers write about a subject, they write from experience, and she was a nurse for quite a few years, and she saw a lot of things happening. She never expected to actually become a patient. She went for a routine mammogram and it was found that she had breast cancer, and that definitely changed her life totally. Immediately she went to schedule a biopsy, and she went to see the scheduler, and the scheduler had already left. It was only 3 o'clock, and she realized what those who have been diagnosed with certain illnesses, what they go through, the frustrations when they go to schedule an appointment and there's nobody there and they have to wait and wait and wait. So this was really for her a most eye-opening experience. Now that she was a patient as opposed to a caregiver, she had seen things during her lifetime of patients who were basically, well, shoved to the rear of the depth chart. Let's put it that way, for want of a better term. That there was so much red tape and it was hard actually getting appointments, especially in life or death situations. Millions of people each year, women, are diagnosed with breast cancer, some serious, some curable, some incurable. And when she went to the care center to have a procedure done, she realized that the people there were actually, they're quite cold. There was only one person who was quite responsive, who seemed to care about her situation and to reassure the rest of them, it was just like a job. And so in the book, it is definitely an eye-opening experience for the reader, as she found herself. She also talks about, in certain locales, it is almost impossible to get treated within a reasonable amount of time. A lot has to do with income, your location, ethnicity as well. So throughout the book, she definitely will have you thinking, why is this happening? And as she's now a lecturer, she's been on CNN, talking about the medical profession. She did survive the breast cancer. It was curable. But definitely, as she goes forward, she urges people who make the rules and the laws and set the budgets for medical centers that they have to consider those people who are most vulnerable, who go through situations, life or death situations, and they need love and respect and, most of all, understanding that their lives are just as vital as anyone else's. So Healing is definitely a book that you should add to your reading list. The second book of note is a very interesting one. It's called Mennonite Valley Girl, A Wayward Girl's Coming of Age by Carla Funk. This is published by Greystone and it retails for $32.95. The author lived in Vanderhoof, British Columbia. It was a Mennonite community, and it was very conservative, as you would expect a Mennonite community to be. She talks about life there, growing up. She was a young girl, and she also talks about other people there, like her father was a drinker and a smoker, and he hung out with the rest of the truckers in the logging community. And in the meantime, the wives could not be into smoking and drinking. They knew where their place was. It was in the kitchen, making the meals, almost being subservient. And she talks about her grandfather as well too, that he was a very serious man. He seemed to only smile when somebody was having a problem, and it was almost like he took delight in the fact that they weren't having a good day. But the grandfather was quite, what's the word, thrifty with certain things. When it came to a roll of toilet paper, it was like rationing for when people went to the bathroom. They were given like a little fold of toilet paper, and they had to make do with one or two little squares, so they had to keep folding it and folding it and folding it. And so it was not easy growing up. And as she got older, it was definitely a coming of age. She observed other girls who were, treating life differently, and was a different respect. She also talks about when she went to get her first bra. It was a humbling experience, very intimidating for a young girl, because she really didn't know what was going on. Like the people in the store, they tried to be as nice as they could, but she was just, it wasn't a pleasant experience. And when she went to her first real concert there and she heard the music thumping, she said she felt the beat in her rib cage. And she writes with both empathy for growing up and a lot of humor too. And she talks about going to summer camp for the first time, and there was this other girl there who came in tight jeans, and she had red stilettos, hardly appropriate for a summer camp, but she came dressed to the nines, and she obviously was dressed to impress the opposite sex. So in the book, Carla Funk talks about, that era of time was the 80s when she grew up. She talks about the television, like Kirk Cameron was one of her favorites. She had a crush on Kirk Cameron. And it's basically a trip through 80s nostalgia, because that was the decade that she basically grew up in. So Mennonite Valley Girl is not, you might think, oh, it's a serious book about the Mennonite community. They didn't do a lot. Well, she tried to stake her claim as a teenager, and now she looks back at it all these years later, and I'm sure you will enjoy the book. It will bring a smile to your face in many places. Of course, it's serious in spots, but definitely a book that you should add to your reading list as well too. So those are the two books I wanted to draw to your attention this time out, Healing and Mennonite Valley Girl. So let me know whether you agree with my analysis of the two books. So we will meet again very soon, and until that time, stay safe, stay sane, stay social distancing, and do stay in touch. Thanks again for watching, and bye for now.